Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video. Welcome back to another Challenger Spectate. Been quite a while since I've done one of these, and again, a bit of an experiment. I think I did it a few weeks ago. Obviously, we've started uploading the second video here to Huzzy Extra, and it's overall going pretty good, by the way. The experiment, I would say, so far has been a success. The views on Huzzy Games have actually started to go a bit back up, and the views here at Huzzy Extra are kind of what the old views of Huzzy Games were, so it's actually going pretty good. We're watching Gnar though today, because the thing with Gnar, I like him. I think a lot of people do, but Riot themselves, this is from the very developer's mouth, they actually see him as a failure of a champion. And if you're like, whoa, well, that's extreme, it is. But it depends, obviously, what you're depicting as a success or a failure when it comes to a champion. Now, Gnar, the reason why you could kind of deem him as a developer, that he's a failure, is he's really hard to get right for the 99.9999% of the game that actually realistically matters, which is everything apart from pro play. So pro play, well, it's more because what Riot's ethos is when it comes to champion design and the game in general is Riot in no world wants to have a separate patch from pro play to solo queue or flex queue or anything like that. They want it that the same patch that Faker wins worlds on, they want it to be that was your patch that you played on. So you playing is in essence the exact same game. There is no mathematical difference at all between what's going on, and that's why it is. So it's worth knowing this game. Obviously, it's Kayle versus Gnar, supposedly top lane, and it was supposed to be Qiyana versus Garen mid. There was supposedly going to be a lane trade going on there because obviously Garen is straight up a counter to AD assassins like Qiyana, so that's why they were going to look for a lane swap, but Garen then scouted it, saw that was going on, and then it was a bit too late for Gnar then to run top and Qiyana to go mid. They committed to it. They might try to swap it after the first base here or there, but yeah, they're committed to this now. But yeah, it is what it is. Obviously, Garen, bit of an annoying champion overall, has definitely cooled off in terms of annoyance when it comes to top lane, but is still very effective in mid as a counter pick. You know, Ambessa, new champion, she's also pretty damn good in mid into certain champions. You know, we've seen the rise of Garen and champions alike in mid lane because the game is more open now than it's been in a very long time. So if you want to play something kind of peculiar in mid, you can. You're not really getting punished for it anymore. You know, if you wanted to play Garen mid, dare I say, 5 years ago, if you're like, I'm playing a Garen mid game, it would be awful. It just would not work, but that's what the game was. The game was very different back then. But yeah, going back into why Gnar himself, obviously, when it, you know, success, failure, can you even play Gnar at the moment? The answer is yeah, you can. But the problem with Gnar, because he is fundamentally such a good pick in pro play, for those that are wondering, why is he such a good pick in pro play? Because pro play, especially top lane, you could argue top lane when it comes to differences between solo queue and pro play. Top lane is probably the biggest difference because top lane is a sacrifice role in pro play. And some people say it's a sacrifice role in solo queue too, partially, but not as big. That there are whole metas of top laners not farming for the first near 10 minutes of the game. That, you know, you're lane trading, you're putting your bot lane top to give that if it's a difficult matchup for your AD carry. Well, your AD carry is more important than your top laner. So you're going to put your top laner in the lane against the enemy bot lane and basically sacrifice them to give your bot lane a freer experience. Someone like Gnar, and why he's so good into that, is because he's a nicely Sin play, by the way, perfectly dodging in and out, getting rid of the stun. That was very impressive. We're watching a challenger game, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, so you're a half-range champion. You're a half-range champion that then, when he turns into a melee champion, has the absolute power of he could 4-man, 5-man push everybody into a wall and stun them in late game. That's a very powerful mechanic when it comes to team play. You know, yeah, you can blind pick Urgot in pro play. You could do a 2v1, you know, with Urgot in pro play, but Urgot can't do that play. Like, that's what Gnar can do. So he offers you the benefit of, we can 2v1. He can still get a bit of farm compared to other, you know, melee top laners. He can get some, and he has that potential of doing the absolute amazing wombo combo stun 5 people into a wall play that most champions in League cannot do. So when it comes to solo queue, because of his strength and prowess in pro play, you know, Renekton has a similar problem to this as well. They have to more or less keep Gnar in a weakened state consistently, because what I was going back onto at the beginning of this little chat was because we are fundamentally playing on the same patches that pros do. It's not like they could just make the champion mathematically weaker in pro play and keep him okay strength in solo queue. The Riot refuse to have a separate patch. Nice kill. Again, obviously the Lee Sin playing very cocky, but not in a bad way. He's playing confident, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. There should be a dead Rel. Oh, level 6. Perfect hit by the Kayle. Obviously not level 6 yet by the Gnar, and that will save the Rel's life. So yeah, Kayle didn't come over straight away. They're now looking, by the way, for the lane trade. You saw Garen in that bush. So very likely he's waiting in there, which he was. But again, Garen is Garen. Again, very basic champion. So something like Gnar that you can just jump over a wall, you can avoid the fight. Again, don't take the fight when Garen's level 6 and you're not, you're going to probably lose. And it's worth knowing, you know, Garen, straight away, he's now mid. So the enemy team has made the decision that no matter what, they are trying 100% of lane phase. Nice kill by Kiana, and into the insane stun. This champion is something else. But yeah, they're just basically going, any moment in lane phase, this Garen is laning against the Kiana. Now, what just happened there was insanely bad for this Garen. The fact that Kiana gets a double kill when it's a counterable lane and everything. Yeah, Garen can't do what a Kiana can. Kiana can take over games. The Garen pick is fundamentally there to try and stop it taking over. This should be a dive. Nice. Didn't get the stun into the wall, but a nice free kill. You know she doesn't have ult because she used it in mid for the Rel, so that was a nice, easy, coordinated dive. Obviously, modern day League supports half the time are not in bot lane. Supports if you want to kind of take the modern game as it is, because I don't really see it changing from now on. Supports are no longer supports. They're junglers 2.0. They are map roamers more than they are supports bot lane. And you know, some people like that, some people don't. I say I probably don't. I miss when they were supports bot lane, and then eventually you transition into your team phase. But obviously supports, they kind of have different tempo than everybody else now. You know, a mid and a top, well, top laners have a bit of a different tempo if they're just split pushing, but you know, let's say a mid laner and an AD carry, you do your lane phase, then you transition into slowly you're grouping a bit more. Maybe in the early game in lane phase you may group a little bit for a dragon, maybe you group a little bit for a Rift Herald, maybe, but that's rarer. But nowadays supports go, oh, I'm off to top lane at 3 minutes into the game, sayonara. It's a bit weird. Let me know if you enjoy that. You know, I think that it's okay to have a certain limit of that, but I think it has gone a bit too extreme. And you know, back in the olden days, you know, Bard you could consider an old champion now. Some champions have it inbuilt in their kit that that's what they should do. Bard is one of them. He has the meeps, but Bard fundamentally, part of his kit had it in mind he's going to roam, because what they basically did was give Bard a XP mechanic from roaming. So Bard has those little meeps or chimes, whatever they're called, scattered around the map. So when he's roaming, and when the average support's roaming, they are not collecting experience unless you're stealing it directly from the laners that want solo experience. Well, Bard can do these roams, not steal experience as much as he possibly can, and collect experience around the map so he's not getting behind the game's pace. When the support roams go well, they are okay, you know, in terms of XP and tempo, like they keep up. They are probably you know, they're still probably further behind if they just stayed in lane, but they keep up relatively well. But how many of you have been in games with a support that's only roaming and it doesn't work? It's disastrous. Like the other day, I can't even remember if it's a video or not in upcoming, you know, I'm a bit ahead in content at the moment. But yeah, like the other day, we had a support on the enemy team, I think, that was roaming. They were like level 2, level 3 for the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, they were so far behind the game. So, worth knowing when it comes to Gnar. A bit of a misplay there, but he should be fine. You might have to... Or maybe he can actually fight this. It's going to be close. What he should have done is he should have used his flash to get rid of vision and then re-engage. The fact that Kayle had vision the entire time that fight happened is what got him killed. But it's worth noting, every time that you go into Mega Roll, more or less you should use the ultimate, because by the time the mega, oh nice, by the time the mega cools down, your ultimate then will, you know, you'll be able to get mega again. Nice, he got 1 kill. So you may as well look to use it aggressively. And obviously when it comes to Kayle, where she's one of the best scaling champions in the game, yeah, you're supposed to bully that. So the fact that Kayle did just get a solo kill on Gnar is very bad. It is worth knowing that person's name is Desperate Nasus. So they're not playing Nasus, but they're playing a hyper scaling champion. So this person probably specializes in scaling champions. The enemy is Seraphine bot lane. Again, I don't know why they play it. Presumably, whenever I see a Seraphine bot, I don't know if anybody else is in that position or feels the same. To me, it's just an autofilled support player has been put in the AD carry position, and they're like, oh god, what do I play? They just play Seraphine. Like, that makes sense to me. You know, if you put the average support player on an actual AD carry, they would do awfully. So they can be useful on Seraphine. So that's what I normally picture in my head. So yeah, it's worth knowing, and I will say the reason for doing this challenge spectate, one is a bit of an experiment just to see how you guys like them on this channel, but also, ooh, flash. He could have flashed that, but he's relying on the pike. Okay, now they get it. Boom, boom. So Seraphine's like, I'm dying all the time in bot lane, I'm leaving bot lane, going top, dies instantly. That's one of the worst things mentally that can happen to a tilted player, is you're like, I'm leaving, I'm going, and then they die the place that they then try to lane in. So yeah, that's very bad for the Seraphine. But yeah, it's worth knowing this patch, well, there was supposed to be patch notes tonight. For some of you may be like, Huz, this isn't a patch note video. It was supposed to be. Turns out that this patch that we're on was a 3-week patch, not a 2-week patch. So obviously I did have, you know, I could have brung the video that's technically, you know, I tried to upload all my videos chronologically. So the video that would have been next chronologically is already uploaded to Huzzy Games for tomorrow's main video, because I was preemptively, you know, thinking that there was going to be a patch note video. So that's kind of why, instead of like deleting the video on Huzzy Games and then uploading it here instead, I thought, oh, let's just do a challenge of spectate, see what people think. But yeah, can you play Gnar? Obviously, I guess is the big question. Can you play Gnar? Yes, you can, clearly. You practically can play every champion in the game at any rating in the game. That's one thing very big to note. So Garen is accepting death here, by the way. He just tried to get 1 more plate and all the farm. So he maximized the gold that he could get in the moment. Obviously, it's worth saying the counter pick of Garen mid has not worked this game. I presume the guy's probably not a Garen main. But, you know, if they're a mage player, you don't want to play a mage into Qiyana. So you go, I'll play Garen. But you're still, you know, yes, there's no mechanics on Garen, but you need to know what you're doing in the counter. And one of the big things is controlling Qiyana to the fact that she doesn't get fed. That's what the pick is. It's not a, I'm straight up beating you, and Garen should straight up beat a Qiyana, but it's not just that. It's a denial. It's, I'm stopping you getting fed. Well, Qiyana's 4-1. She's 4-1, pretty much equal farm. Garen is 0-3. So it's been the opposite of denial. Qiyana's strong. So it's kind of a disaster when that happens, because Qiyana can take over a game. So yeah. So I presume he's going Stride Breaker, obviously. Qiyana's now top. Gnar's bot. Tower plates are falling in 20 seconds. Gnar might try to kill the tower. He's got Nocturne above him, but we did see Lee Sin around red. And on the minimap right now, and there's the Lee Sin, we have the vision perspective of red team. Oh, really good stun. So Gnar's ultimate, if you're like, how the hell did that hit? Gnar's ultimate has a slight hitbox behind him. So he expected that. It used the knowledge of knowing it would hit behind and actually used it really well. So Garen's going to get the pike kill, probably. Yeah. But should die for it. He used his flash, he used ignite. So, you know, to be honest, Garen was probably dead there no matter what. So the fact that he got 1 kill, you could argue is not too bad. And there is a tower kill for Mr. Gnar. So this Gnar's doing pretty good. It didn't start amazing. He did also get solo kill to a Kayle. But what this Gnar is doing is actually not playing completely like a typical top laner in modern day League. He's getting involved. That's the biggest thing that I'd say a lot of top laners unfortunately have fallen into. The meme of top lane was always, it's the island role. You know, you're just on an island. That's if you allow yourself to be on an island. You know, it was always the meme of island more or less in lane phase. That like, oh, no junglers go top lane, I'm by myself. But then normally top laners would then group and get involved because lane phase is over. But nowadays, majority of top laners don't even get involved after lane phase. They're just like, nah, I'm not going to get involved. Why would I do that? This Gnar is taking initiative and he's getting involved. He doesn't want to just sit idly. He's going, no, I'm not just going to stay top lane the whole game. I'll go bot. I'll go mid. I'll get involved in this play. That's a good player. Like that you don't have to just sit there AFK farming in side lane, just basically PvEing as a modern top. Again, that playstyle was very strong last year. That playstyle has been nerfed, yet most top laners are still doing that playstyle because it's very easy to kind of it's an easy playstyle. There's no thought about it, and it is still semi-effective. So why do something very like this? What this Gnar is doing is a lot more effort than just side lane PvE AFKing. Basically, it's a lot more effort, but it's a lot more rewarding as well. Is what I would say. Now, when it comes to Gnar, and it's worth knowing, you know, Garen or Aatrox or Fiora or any of the modern tops, Sion, whatever you want to say, they are decent at doing the AFK playstyle. I don't think Gnar is anyway. So that it is worth saying, like, I don't think if you wanted to try and play Gnar in the I'm just side laning, PvE, blah, 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 he wouldn't be amazing at doing it because practically most 1v1s, where are you going? Practically most 1v1s, he'd be losing anyway. So here's the desperate engage. Garen is taking a lot of damage. Obviously, not what you need to do, and what they should have done a little bit earlier. The moment the Kayle ult went out on the Garen, well, then suddenly the Kayle is now vulnerable. But that was, in essence, all 5 of the enemy team. They're losing, so what they're going to try and do is go for number advantage fights. You can see Qiyana's bot lane. So, okay, Qiyana's bot, let's go for a play in top. You're just going to be a bit careful of that. I think Gnar got a little bit caught out. But again, it's 1 kill. They're still likely going to lose. Well, they've lost the tier 2 to Qiyana solo, so now she's even richer. You're not even fighting the dragon, so the enemy team are gaining a dragon. So that 1 kill on Gnar doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't do anything in the grand scheme of the game. You committed 4 or 5 people there for basically no reason. So Gnar was expecting someone to still be here, I guess. Maybe trying to catch them basing or something. Well, he didn't catch them, but it's fine. Build, by the way, Triforce into Black Cleaver. I'd say Triforce, very good item on Gnar. Probably a alternate build. Like, Triforce is probably an optional item on Gnar that if you think you can do a bit more burst, it's very buildable. Hit this hook. Nice. Into the stun, into the execute. Wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. So that was very nice by Pyke and Gnar. The Gnar ultimates overall have been pretty good. So the name, I will say Kensuke, like, I don't know if it's just an anime name, but like I do know this name. I just don't know where I know it from. This could be a known player. I think at the moment this player was rank 2 EU West. So it's very likely they may have played competitively. But I also think the name, if this name was in an anime and I've heard it, I wouldn't be surprised. It sounds very anime. Nice. This Pyke seems pretty good, but again, for a everyone in a challenger game should be pretty good. It's worth knowing, and I always like saying it, and I've not said it for a while. When it comes to challenger players, whenever you watch one of these videos, sometimes you see weird play, or how did that person do that, or anything of that nature. You have to remember, in every single game of League, one team will win, one team will lose, and likely the team that's going to win will be playing better than the team that's going to lose. That doesn't mean the team that loses is bad. It's just in the specific game you can get outplayed, or if a lot of the time in solo queue, whichever team gets the early lead will win the game. Most of the time that's the case in solo queue. Whoa, enemy team is going ham and cheese. So the Kayle's damage is starting to get up there, and this is the problem with Gnar. I will say, like, his actual strength level of being scary like this isn't very scary. He tried to Gnar ultimate there, by the way, to catch them in a stun. Goddamn Qiyana. Oh, Jesus. That champion. It's so much damage. I think it's I don't mind the so much damage. She's an assassin. She's supposed to do a lot of damage. It's the range of her stun with her ultimate that just gets me. It's like you are like in the, like, the Kayle was basically in the middle here. You're in the middle and she got pushed right to the edge, but she got stunned. That's crazy. For an assassin to have that level of power of CC is just crazy to me. I think that's what's always got me with Kiana. Thumbs up. Next item, I presume, will be Asterix, potentially, for the Gnar. You can, by the way, obviously, it's worth knowing, Gnar is not a hyper carry. You are starting to see a bit in top lane, the shift of Kayle is getting so much stronger, and Gnar can't deal with it. But that doesn't mean Gnar is useless at all. What Gnar has to do when it comes to something like a Kayle is get a perfect stun. Hit that W, hit that ult, and that's how you deal with a Kayle. But he can't do it in a 1v1. Like, it's just not the type of champion that he is. So Gnar's going to try and help with the Garen. He is going to end up dead. He has flashed, but I think he's still going to die. He is such a fast champion, though, with phase rush, flash. Like, yeah, he's alive. Damn. They should try to use that. They have complete number advantage. They should try to Baron or something. Gnar's not going there straight away, if I had to guess, because if he ran there straight away, it completely gives the way that you're going straight to Baron. I mean, it's still pretty obvious. Again, the annoying thing with Garen is he has an inbuilt Warmogs. So even though he nearly just died, yeah, he's nearly back to full health. He's completely fightable health right now because he has an inbuilt thingy. There's a really nice delay. Kiana ultimate, very nice Kiana ult. Not for damage, just for pure stunning. Gnar doing some DPS to the Seraphine. What the Gnars do is trying to cause confusion. All right, are you going to continue running for my team? Oh, wow. The Seraphine actually just straight up died. Getting your ulti. Oh, close. They should end up all dead here, the enemy team, and there you go. So, Gnar played that well. Red team has scored an ace. That was a weird way. Does the announcer normally say it that way? What the hell? That seemed really old. But yeah, Gnar played that well. He killed the Seraphine. Hilariously, the Kayle, you could see, Kayle didn't want to ult the Seraphine because the Seraphine's 0 and 9 rushing a Seraphs. Like, you don't want to ult that. Why would you? So, I can completely get the Kayle letting her die. And then the Gnar did a really good job of like, right, you want to go keep chasing them? Oh, I'm here now. Come get me. And Gnar will not mind that death. His team just got an ace for basically, I think, just him. He might have been the only one that died, and they got Baron. So that's where, again, not playing for KDA, this Gnar's playing for the win. He's playing to win the game, and sometimes a death can be a good death. One top laner dying in a team fight situation for the whole enemy team dying, and you got Baron, that's a good death. And then Gnar did it on purpose. He thought it through. I'm going to go here behind the enemy team to be a distraction. Okay, they're going to engage on me. Fair enough. You'll accept that. Everybody would accept that. Nice ult. So again, doesn't get the stun, but it's just to get the Garen further away from safety of his tower. So there is that. So yeah, ultimately this game, the Gnar played well. Kayle is still scary, but the Gnar kind of just played away from the Kayle. He got more involved than the Kayle did earlier into the game. And obviously, a big part of this game, the Seraphine fed like crazy. Again, likely as an autofield support player. But then also, the Garen counterpick to Kiana, yeah, really didn't work. It didn't stop the Kiana getting fed. The Kiana's 9 and 2. She's incredibly fed. A counterpick like Garen is supposed to stop that from happening. So yeah. And that's why, by the way, the enemy team was so desperate. Every time that they were trying to lane swap the Gnar and the Kiana, the Garen was like, no, I'm going against the nice. So again, his ultimate was probably, his Mega is going to run out. A simple, nice little pick like that is very good. And they're going to go for the Kayle. Garen's going for the Kiana, which again, he can kill. It's just what this Kiana done majority of this game is not fought the Garen, because why would you? He's a counter pick. He just presses Q on you, spins on your face, and you're dead. And he gets another kill. So there it is. That's the game. Very nice. So can you play Gnar? Yes, you can. But what I would say is you can't play Gnar like a typical top laner right now. You can't just go, oh, I'm just side laning, PvE, farming and getting towers. No, you need to get more involved than that. So, like, hilariously, you have to play Gnar what top lane used to be played like. Does that make sense? Hopefully, one day in 6 months or a year's time, it's going to come full circle, and top lane will just go back to top laners getting involved all the time. And then the people that will actually be doing worse will be the ones that are just like, oh, I'm not getting involved, I'm just split pushing top lane. Hopefully. But anyway, that's going to be it. Let me know what you think. If you did enjoy, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.